It was a quiet night. The stars above were bright. The small farm stood alone near the edge of the forest. A man named Daniel lived there. He was a simple man, quiet, kind, and strong. He had a vegetable garden behind his small house. He worked hard every day to grow food. That night, Daniel heard a strange sound. It was soft, like something moving through the plants. He grabbed his flashlight and stepped outside. The garden was dark, but something was there, something moving. He walked slowly, his boots crunching on the dry ground. Then he saw her, a small figure crouched near the tomatoes. Thin arms, long fingers, skin that glowed faintly under the moonlight. Not human. Daniel froze. The alien woman turned her head. Her eyes were wide and scared. She looked ready to run. "Stop," Daniel said softly, not angry. "I don't want to hurt you." She didn't run. Instead, she dropped the vegetables she was holding. Carrots, potatoes, a tomato. She fell to her knees. "Please." Her voice was weak, shaking. "Don't kill me." Daniel lowered his flashlight. He saw her more clearly now. Her body was thin, almost too thin. Her clothes were torn, her feet bare. She looked tired and hungry. "I'm not going to kill you," Daniel said, stepping closer. "Why are you stealing my food?" She looked down. Her hands trembled. "My children," she whispered. "They haven't eaten in 2 days. I didn't know what else to do." Daniel looked around. There was no one else. "You have kids?" She nodded. Tears ran down her cheeks, glowing softly like her skin. "I thought humans would shoot me, but I had to try." Daniel didn't speak for a moment. He just watched her. She didn't look like a threat. She looked like a mother, scared and desperate. "What's your name?" he asked. The alien woman hesitated. "Nara," she said. "All right, Nara. Stand up." She stood slowly, afraid. Daniel picked up the vegetables she dropped and handed them to her. "Take these," he said. "Go feed your children." Nara stared at him, shocked. "You're giving them to me?" "Yes, but I want you to promise something." She nodded quickly. "Anything. You won't steal from me again. If you need food, you come to the front door. Understand?" Nara's lips trembled. She clutched the vegetables to her chest and nodded. "Yes, I promise." Daniel turned and walked back to the house. He watched her run into the trees, disappearing into the dark. The next morning, Daniel couldn't stop thinking about her. He finished his breakfast, then walked to the garden to check things. Then he saw them, small footprints in the dirt near the edge of the fence. Tiny ones, not just Nara's, but smaller. Children's feet. He knelt down and touched the prints. Fresh. He stood up and looked toward the forest. "Where are they hiding?" he whispered. He didn't tell anyone in the village. He knew what they would say. "Aliens are dangerous. Call the patrol. They don't belong here." But Daniel didn't feel fear. He felt curious and something else, something heavy in his chest. Pity. That woman risked her life for food. For her kids. She was ready to die, just so they could eat. He packed some supplies, more vegetables, a bottle of clean water, a small blanket, and followed the tracks into the woods. The forest was quiet. Birds chirped, leaves rustled. After 20 minutes of walking, he saw something. A pile of broken metal. A crashed pod, old and rusted, half buried in dirt. Near it, a small shelter made of branches and torn fabric. Daniel stepped closer. He heard coughing. He stopped. Then a child peeked out. Her skin glowed like Nara's. Her eyes were too big for her face. She looked tired, scared, thin. Behind her, 2 more smaller shapes huddled under a blanket. "Hello?" Daniel said softly, holding up his hands. The little alien girl didn't speak. "I'm a friend," Daniel said. "Your mother came to my farm last night. I gave her food. The girl blinked. Daniel placed the bag of vegetables and water on the ground and stepped back. You can take it. I won't hurt you. Then, from behind the shelter, Nara appeared. She looked shocked to see him. You followed me? Daniel nodded. You need more than a few potatoes, she lowered her head. I didn't want you to see this. I'm glad I did. She looked at him, confused. Now I know the truth, Daniel said. You're not a thief, you're a mother. The next morning, Daniel stood at the edge of his garden, but not alone. His dog, Rust, growled low and steady. Daniel stared down at the ground. The soft dirt had been disturbed again. But this time it wasn't just one set of prints. There were many, some tiny, some barefoot, one dragging. Daniel knelt and touched the soil. Still fresh. He followed the trail with his eyes. The prints didn't come from the forest, they came from behind his barn. His heart skipped. That wasn't where Nara had run off last night. Rust barked and ran ahead. Wait. Daniel followed the dog, stepping through tall grass and broken branches. Behind the barn, the earth had been dug up, and something moved. A piece of wood lifted, a hidden trapdoor. Daniel pulled it open quickly. Inside, in the dark, lay 3 alien children, thin, pale, silent. One coughed softly, but something else made Daniel's blood run cold. One of them had a broken leg. They weren't in the forest. They were here, right under his land. All this time. Daniel rushed back to his house and grabbed a flashlight, water, and clean towels. He returned and climbed down into the little pit. It was no bigger than a tool shed. How long have you been hiding here? He whispered. The smallest child tried to speak, but only coughed. The second hid her face behind her arms. Then a voice behind Daniel made him spin around. I didn't want you to know. It was Nara. Her voice was flat, filled with fear. I couldn't take them far. The youngest is too weak. His leg broke in the crash. I was going to leave with them tonight. Daniel stared at her. She looked ready to cry again. You buried them underground, he said quietly. She looked down. It was safer than the forest. The drones fly low at night. If they scan us, Daniel finished her thought. They'll find you. She nodded slowly. They think we're pests, she whispered. Not living people. Daniel helped the children out of the pit one by one. Their bones felt like sticks in his arms. The youngest winced in pain as he lifted him. You should have told me. I couldn't trust you, she said. And now? She looked into his eyes. I still don't know. Daniel brought them into the barn. He cleaned a corner, laid down hay, made a fire in the barrel. He poured warm water into a bowl. He crushed painkillers and mixed them into sweet jam, hoping the little one would eat. As the alien children curled together, warming for the first time in days, Daniel stood back. He saw more than hunger. He saw fear, but also trust. A small hand reached out and touched his boot. It was the girl, the one who had been silent. She looked up and whispered, "Thank you, human." Daniel didn't answer. He just crouched and smiled. "You're safe now," he said. But deep in his chest, something told him they weren't. In the night, someone knocked on his door. A sharp, loud knock. Daniel opened it slowly. It was Clint, the neighbor who owned the land across the stream. "Something's off," Clint said. "I saw lights in your barn." Daniel kept his face calm. Probably just a raccoon. Rust's been chasing them all week. Clint squinted. "Did you hear about the patrols? Government wants aliens turned in, offering rewards now." Daniel's heart pounded. "I don't keep aliens, Clint." Clint smiled, but his eyes didn't. "Better not, for your sake." He turned and left. Back in the barn, Nara stood near the fire, arms around her youngest. She looked up when Daniel came in. "Someone came," she said. He nodded. "We don't have much time." Nara looked down at her child. I'm sorry. Daniel stepped forward. Don't be. We're not running anymore. She stared at him. What do you mean? I mean you stay here. Hidden. I'll take care of everything. You'd risk that, she asked. Daniel looked at the children. I already did. A bad smell filled the barn that morning, not from animals, but something deep, sour, like rusted metal and rotting air. Daniel opened the door, and the wind brought it in stronger. He covered his nose and looked around. Rust, his dog, barked, once then backed away from the barn. Inside, the children coughed. One of them cried in his sleep. The youngest had fever now. His skin, once glowing, was turning gray. Nara sat beside him, eyes heavy. She hadn't slept. Then Daniel noticed it. Her arm. A black rash was spreading slowly up her skin. You're sick too, he said. Nara nodded quietly. It's the rot. Daniel crouched beside her. What is it? She didn't answer right away. Her hand rested on her child's head gently. Then, with a weak breath, she spoke. Our planet is dead. Daniel listened as Nara told the story. Her voice was soft, sad, like a memory she didn't want to remember. We called it Fyrex. A green world once, flowers taller than trees, rivers that glowed in the dark. My children played in crystal fields. She smiled a little, but it vanished. Then the sky changed. Machines came from above, not from Earth, from something worse. They sprayed the sky. They poisoned the dirt. They called it cleansing, but nothing grew again. Daniel's eyes darkened. Why? They wanted the minerals. They didn't care if we lived. She looked at him, her face pale. We ran. My mate died shielding the escape ship. I flew it blind. We crashed here, and now? She looked down at the black lines crawling. Up her skin, the rot followed us. Daniel stood in silence. He had fought in a war once. He had seen ruins, hunger, death. But this, the idea of a planet being eaten alive, of machines choking forests to dust, it burned inside him. I can't let you die like this, he said. You already helped us more than I expected, Nara replied. Daniel shook his head. Not enough. He turned to leave. Where are you going? She asked. Daniel grabbed his coat. To town. To find help. Nara stood quickly. No, if they see you helping us, I'll be careful, he said. And I won't tell them anything. She grabbed his hand. Her fingers were cold. Promise me you'll come back. Daniel looked into her eyes. I promise. Daniel rode into town with a cart full of fake vegetables on top and hidden beneath old alien medicine cases Nara gave him. He went to the old doctor's shop first. Dr. Helen was sharp and quiet. She owed Daniel a favor from years ago. He placed the cases on her table and whispered, I need these studied, quietly. It's not human. Helen looked at him. Daniel, what have you done? I gave shelter to a dying mother and 3 kids, that's what I did. She looked at the alien tools, her hands shaking. You know the law. If anyone finds out, just help me, he said. You're the only one who can. Back at the barn, the smell of rot grew stronger. The children coughed more. The fever burned higher. Nara had wrapped her arm in cloth, hiding the spreading black rash. She sat by the fire, whispering songs from her world, but her voice was fading. Hours later, Daniel returned. He threw the barn doors open. His shirt was torn. His face had a bruise. Nara stood up. What happened? Someone saw me in town. A patrol. I barely escaped. Did they follow you? No. I took a different path. She looked down. Then what now? Daniel pulled out a small bag. Inside, a vial glowing green. He smiled. Dr. Helen made a temporary cure. He turned to the children. We start now. The shot rang out just after sunrise. Bang! A bullet hit Daniel's scarecrow, right between the eyes. Daniel dropped his coffee mug and ran outside. Smoke still floated in the cold air. Rust barked and growled, racing to the edge of the field. On the fence stood Clint. His rifle rested on his shoulder. His face was hard, full of suspicion. "Strange things happen when aliens show up," Clint said, eyes locked on Daniel. "Thought I'd send a warning shot." Daniel's fists tightened. He walked forward slowly. "That scarecrow's not your enemy, Clint." Clint didn't smile. "And what about the glowing kids you're hiding in your barn?" Daniel froze. "I saw you last night," Clint said. "Sneaking back from town, carrying something strange. My dog smelled something foul near your barn. Something not from this world." Rust growled louder. Daniel stepped between them. "You're making things up." "No," Clint replied. "I'm giving you a chance. Turn them in. The patrol's offering rewards. You could get your entire farm paid off." Daniel said nothing. "You were a soldier once, right?" Clint went on. "You knew the rules. This ain't personal. It's the law." Daniel's voice was cold. "Then you better bring more than one bullet next time." Clint spat on the ground. "I'll be back tomorrow. With others." He walked away, his boots crunching in the frost. Rust whimpered. Daniel knelt beside his dog. "We're running out of time." Inside the barn, Nara held her youngest close. His fever had dropped, but his breathing was still weak. Daniel entered and shut the doors tight. "We need to move you," he said. Nara looked up, frightened. "You said we were safe here." "We were. Now they know." She looked down at her. "Son, he can't walk." "Then I'll carry him." Daniel spent the next hour preparing. He cleaned out his old truck, hid blankets and supplies under the seat. The alien medicine was packed in a box labeled tools. He made a new plan: drive them to the mountains. There was a hunting cabin his father once owned. Far off grid, no patrols, no neighbors. He just needed one night, one safe road. But at sunset, a group gathered at Daniel's gate, 4 men, 1 woman, all from the village, and Clint stood in front. "You got one chance," Clint shouted. "Step aside. Let us search the barn." Rust barked from the porch. Daniel held his shotgun, aimed. "Lo, you're not stepping on my land," he said. Clint laughed. "Then you're protecting invaders." "I'm protecting children," Daniel snapped, "and a mother who hasn't harmed anyone." A murmur spread through the group. One man, Paul, the baker, lowered his head. "You sure they're not dangerous?" "Daniel?" "They're starving," Daniel said. "They're sick and they're hiding, not attacking." "They're not human," Clint said. "That's all that matters." Daniel looked each of them in the eyes. "I fought in your war," he said. "I bled for this land, and now I'm using it to save lives. If you call that a crime, pull the trigger." No one moved. Then Paul stepped back. So did the others, but Clint raised his rifle just slightly. "I'll come back," Clint growled. "With soldiers. You won't stop them." Daniel watched them leave. Then he turned to the barn and ran. "Get ready," he told Nara. "We leave now." Nara gathered her children. The smallest whimpered, his skin still cold. Daniel wrapped him in warm cloth and gently lifted him into his arms. "I won't let them hurt you," he whispered. As the truck rolled through the night, Daniel took back roads, avoiding the patrols, avoiding the lights. Trees passed like shadows, the road narrowed, and ahead mountains rose like dark giants. He looked at the children sleeping in the back seat, then at Nara, silent, scared, but no longer alone. "We're almost there," Daniel said softly. Nara looked at him with wide eyes. "Why are you doing this?" He didn't answer right away. Then he said, "Because someone should have helped you a long time ago." The truck swerved hard on the icy road. Daniel barely kept it straight. In the back seat, the smallest child let out a sharp, painful gasp. His tiny body shook violently, and then went limp. Nara screamed. "He's not breathing." Daniel hit the brakes. The truck slid and skidded, stopping sideways on the narrow mountain road. Cold wind rushed in as Daniel threw the door open and jumped out. Nara held her son in her arms, trembling. His eyes were shut. His skin was too pale, too cold. "Help him," she cried. "Please, human. Don't let him die." Daniel's heart pounded. He had seen death in war. He had seen soldiers bleed out. But never had he felt fear like this, not for himself, but for a child he had only known for days. He ripped open the glove box, grabbing the green glow vial Dr. Helen gave him. "This is all we have," he said. He took the tiny injector and filled it, hands shaking. "Hold him still." Nara cradled her son tightly, whispering words in a language Daniel didn't understand. "Prayers." Daniel pressed the injector to the child's neck. Click. The serum entered his veins. Then, silence. Seconds passed. Nothing. Then, a cough. A soft, painful cough. The child stirred weakly in Nara's arms. He was alive. Nara collapsed to her knees, tears streaming down her face. Daniel sat beside her in the snow. He was breathing fast. Too fast. He had just brought someone back from the edge of death. He looked at the serum injector. Only one dose left. They couldn't go on like this. The mountains were too far. The boy was too weak. Daniel looked down the road and made a hard choice. "There's someone else," he said. Nara looked up, eyes red. "What do you mean?" "An old army friend. A medic. Lives 2 hours south. He has supplies, maybe more medicine. He's off-grid. He won't talk." Nara hesitated. "Can we trust him?" Daniel stared at the child in her arms. "We don't have another choice." The truck turned around. The road was longer now, the sky darker. Snow started falling. Inside the cab, Daniel kept one hand on the wheel, the other on the radio, listening for patrols. The boy slept, still weak, but alive. Nara sat in silence, holding all 3 children close. Daniel looked over and spoke softly. "What's his name?" She looked at him. "Zoe." He nodded. "He's strong." It was past midnight when they reached a small wooden cabin surrounded by thick trees. No lights, no vehicles, but a faint trail of smoke from the chimney. Daniel parked and knocked on the door hard. A man opened it. Gray beard, cybernetic eye, rough hands, big frame. It was Red. Daniel spoke fast. "I need your help. The kid's dying. Alien. Long story." Red stared, then stepped aside. "Bring him in." Inside the cabin, Red worked fast. He checked the child, scanned vitals, studied the vial Daniel brought. This isn't human tech," he muttered. "Who made this?" "A doctor friend," Daniel said. "She found it in a crash site." Red sighed. "It's working, barely. But the kid needs more. His lungs are weak. He won't last another night without treatment." Nara clutched her son tighter. "Can you make more?" Red stood up. "I can try, but I need time, and you need to disappear." Daniel looked confused. "What?" "I picked up a drone signal," Red said. "Someone followed you. Maybe not all the way, but they're tracking you now." Daniel swore under his breath. "How long?" "Hours, maybe less. They had to move again, but the child couldn't. So Red made a decision. "I'll keep him here," he said. "I'll treat him. You take the others. If they're looking for you, split up." Nara's voice cracked. "I can't leave him." Daniel placed a hand on her shoulder. "He'll be safe. Red saved me once too. He never breaks his word." Nara looked down at her son. She kissed his forehead, then looked at Red. "If he dies, he won't," Red said. "Not on my table." Before sunrise, Daniel loaded the truck again, only now with 2 children and a mother filled with Kirker. As the tires crunched over frozen earth, Red stood at the door of the cabin holding Zoe close, his cyber eye blinking red. Daniel didn't speak, but inside, he made a promise. "I'll come back for him, no matter what." The forest was quiet, but the sky wasn't. Above the trees, a black shape hovered, silent, watching. It looked like a bird at first, until the red light blinked. A drone. It scanned the land below, slow and steady. Then it moved on. Down below, in a deep hidden cave, two alien children played with sticks, drawing shapes on the dirt floor. Nara watched them with tired eyes, a weak smile on her lips. For the first time in weeks, they had eaten full meals. For the first time, they had laughed. Daniel stood at the cave entrance, holding a bag of supplies, fresh bread, cooked meat, clean water, all traded quietly from a friend of Red's who asked no questions. He had found them a safe place. The cave was deep and dry, hidden, no heat signature. Perfect for now. But Daniel couldn't shake the feeling in his chest. We're being watched. At night, he sat near the fire while Nara rested. The children were asleep, one curled against her side. Daniel fed the flames and stared into the dark. Then a whisper came from the shadows. "Why are you doing this?" It was Nara. Daniel looked over. "Because someone should." "No, I mean really. Why you? You're human. You gain nothing." He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "I had a daughter." Nara sat up slightly. "She died during the outbreak. Earth medicine couldn't save her. But if she were here now, sick, scared, I'd want someone to help her. Even if she wasn't one of them." He looked at her, voice soft. "Now I'm doing what I wish someone had done for her." Nara said nothing, but tears filled her eyes. The next morning, Daniel went to check his hidden radio. Red's voice came through, crackled and rough. "They know." Daniel froze. "How?" "Patrol found the cave on my map. They're scanning the forest. You've got maybe one day," Daniel cursed. "And the boy? He's better, stronger, but not ready to move. I'm not leaving without him. I'll bring him to you," Red said. "Tomorrow night, but Daniel..." "What? If they find you, they won't ask questions this time." Daniel returned to the cave. He didn't tell Nara everything, just enough. "We'll move soon," he said. "One last time." She nodded, brushing dirt from her daughter's cheek. "I believe you," she said quietly. "You always come back." That night, Daniel stayed outside the cave. He stood beneath the stars, shotgun across his chest, watching the sky. Rust lay beside him, ears up, growling now and then. The wind howled through the trees. Then, a soft humming sound. Rust stood. Daniel looked up. The drone was back. Lower. Slower. Red lights scanned the forest floor. Daniel grabbed a mirror. He'd hidden behind a rock and angled it. The light hit it and bounced. The drone paused, then flew away. Daniel dropped the mirror and sighed. "Too close," he muttered. Back in the cave, Nara rocked her daughter gently. The child had a small flower in her hand, crushed, but beautiful. "Mom," the little girl said. "Will we have a house someday?" Nara smiled. "Maybe even a garden, like the humans?" Nara nodded. "Yes, like his." Morning came fast. Daniel packed everything. Blankets, food, medicine, even the toy stick figures the kids had carved. Nara dressed her children slowly. Every movement felt heavy. Final. At sunset they waited and waited. Then headlights appeared between the trees. It was Red, and in the back seat, Zoe, awake, smiling weakly. Nara ran to him and held him close. Daniel helped Red unload. "You made it." "Barely," Red said. "A patrol passed me 10 minutes ago." He handed Daniel a small chip. "What's this?" "Coordinates. A transport ship. My last favor. It'll take them off-world, someplace safe." Daniel stared at it. "You're serious?" Red nodded. "But you can't go with them." Daniel looked at the alien family. Then he looked at the forest, at the drone that might return tonight, and he made his choice. The goodbye wasn't planned. It was forced. Daniel heard the engine before he saw the lights, dark military trucks, crawling through the forest like predators. Rust growled, pacing near the cave. Red whispered sharply. They're early. We have minutes, no more. Inside the cave, Nara held Zoe close, her hands trembling. Daniel rushed in. We have to go, now. Nara stood, her eyes full of fear. What about you? Daniel didn't answer. He simply pointed to the children. Keep them quiet. Follow Red. She stopped. You're not coming? Daniel looked at her, then at the chip in his hand. Coordinates to the hidden launch pad, Red arranged. It's only built for 4 passengers, that's you and the kids. She stepped closer. You promised you'd stay with us. Daniel smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. And I will. Just not the way you think. Red led them through the narrow cave exit. Trees opened up to a small valley. The hidden ship waited under camo netting. Steam hissed from its vents. Nara looked back. He's not behind us. Red said nothing. Back at the cave, Daniel stood in the shadows, shotgun in hand. Then came voices, human ones. We scanned movement. Something's near. Eyes open. Could be alien stragglers. Daniel crouched behind a fallen log. His heart beat slow, calm. He waited until he saw the red beam of a scanner sweep toward the trail. He took a breath. Then he ran into the open. Hey, he shouted. The soldiers turned. He raised his hands high. It's just me, I'm armed, but I'll drop it. A spotlight hit him. The officer yelled, on the ground. Daniel dropped his shotgun and got on his knees. Behind him, the ship engines lit up, softly, faintly, but enough to rise, enough to escape. Inside the ship, Nara saw the forest falling away below. Trees became dots. The sky opened wide. She stared down through the glass and saw him, one human, surrounded by soldiers, but not running. On the ground, Daniel looked up and smiled. You made it. One soldier stepped forward. Where's the rest of them? Daniel shrugged. Just me, hiding from the world. The officer narrowed his eyes. We picked up scans, life forms. Animals, Daniel lied. The forest's full of them. Another soldier whispered. Sir, he's the ex-soldier, Daniel Hart. Honorable discharge. The officer stared longer, then motioned. Take him in. No cuffs. Daniel stood, hands raised. As they walked him toward the truck, he looked up once more. The ship was gone. Safe. 3 months passed. Daniel sat on a bench outside a holding facility. His charges dropped quietly. No trial. No press. Too risky for headlines. He was free, but alone. Until one morning a letter arrived. No return name. Just a symbol. Hand-drawn. 3 glowing stars and a leaf. Inside. We have a garden now. The kids asked about you every day. Zoe walks. He laughs. I kept your promise alive. We will wait. Nara. Daniel smiled, and for the first time in weeks, tears ran down his face. He folded the letter and looked out across the sunrise. Maybe he hadn't lost a family. Maybe he'd found one.